approaching, and to celebrate, today I'm making something inspired by our original founding father, George Washington. More specifically, this is inspired by Mount Vernon, George Washington's home, also his favorite place in the world. And even more specifically, it's inspired by the guest room. They were really social and they actually really liked having people over a lot, like hosting people. And I don't even really know why I thought of this, but let's go. Hospitality was a really big part of life at Mount Vernon, especially after the American Revolution when George Washington had become a world figure. This included dinner guests as well as lots of overnight guests who stayed in a range of guest rooms on the property. But in 1799, the Yellow Room was regarded as the most expensively decorated of those rooms. And today's project starts with its wallpaper. I imported a photo of it into Adobe Illustrator and then zoomed in as far as I could go to start tracing. There were some areas of the design where I couldn't really tell what something was, so I started piecing together different vector files. For example, this column here kind of looks like scales to me, so I made it a snake. I thought it looked pretty good. There's another area that I'm pretty sure was supposed to be a cherub or something like that, but every time I tried tracing it, it just looked weird. So instead of that, I made it a flying pig. I added in some wheat. I added in my initials. Tracing this ended up being really, really fun, but it took about 3 days because I wanted it to be really exact, even with the ad libs in there. And this design is going to form the sides for a big laser cut lantern. And here's what it all ended up looking like. Today I'm going to be working on the Creality Falcon 2 diode laser cutter. I've worked on this before and really loved it, but I've never used the 40-watt laser head. I've used the 20-watt laser head. So I'm very excited to go ahead with the test cut on cardboard. With this test cut, I'm mostly just looking to make sure that my design fully closed in because it was so complex and there's a lot of room to accidentally not connect a line or two. And it looked good, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out of my final material, which is maple. I'm putting masking material on both sides of all of this maple to protect it in the laser cutter. It's a delicate design and I want to keep sanding to a minimum. So a little more about the wallpaper in the Yellow Room while this engraves. It's not the original wallpaper. In fact, we're not even really sure what the original wallpaper looked like. It is, however, a very thoughtful, educated guess. The room is referenced in a few different written texts as the Yellow Room, and oftentimes in colonial America, this is how rooms were labeled, the blue room, the yellow room, and so on, in reference to the decor in the actual room. But also in 1869, Anne Pamela Cunningham, the founder of the Mount Vernon Ladies Association, found a little scrap of wallpaper with a little yellow pigment in the room. So safe to assume there's yellow wallpaper in the Yellow Room. Although the sample was too small to get an exact idea of the pattern, so a design from a home in Kennebunkport, Maine from the same time period was chosen. It's part of the Colonial Williamsburg collection. So it is an original pattern. We just don't really know exactly what was in this room, but it was probably pretty darn similar. At this point, I'm covering up all these engraves with some painter's tape to protect them during the next steps. As much as I really liked how it looked put together with the open sides, just like it was, this is getting filled with resin. The idea is for this to be a lantern to go around a candle, and the resin with pigment in it's gonna look solid and opaque, but if it's backlit, you'll be able to see that light. Okay, I hope that tape over the engrave stays put, because I didn't realize how much trust I was putting into it until I was already halfway pouring. So then I just committed to it, but I don't know, maybe that was a mistake. Okay, so it looks pretty good. There's a couple spots where the resin leaked in, but it's fine. It's fine. And the last step is to sand, finish, and assemble this thing. This panel during sanding split right down the middle, unfortunately. I think I can glue it in place in a way where it won't matter and I can just glue it back together, but we'll see. I was able to just kind of smush it in, and then I got a bunch of glue on like the back side of it, and so I think it's gonna be fine. Once the glue dried, I finished this off with mineral oil, which really made the yellow pop. It's probably a brighter color than the original, but I wanted the maple to come across like white, so I went with the brighter yellow, and I think it looks so cool.